Now, while we were doing this, what was running through my mind is, oh, I got some more suggestions for them. How can I give them more suggestions? And I got to thinking about, that's one of the things we don't provide with 1 Million Cups at this point in time, but we can through our Facebook page. So what we need to do is reach out with that, join that page, talk about what came on today, and say, hey, here are some suggestions, or to reach out with them and share business cards. Also want you to kind of start thinking about who else you want to see in here. One of the great things about 1 Million Cups is that we're able to help other businesses and learn from other businesses as well. So it makes us all stronger, and it just amazes me to see what they've done, the level of talent they brought here. Our next gentleman that's coming to speak today also has an amazing level of talent. He's kind of quiet about it generally, but he has one of the largest businesses and the oldest business in Hopkins County, and I'm very proud to introduce Waide.
I appreciate the opportunity to come speak with you guys. Really, I kind of look at this as a roundtable discussion because I know just about everybody in the room, and I honor and respect all you guys because you're successful in a lot of different ways. And so it's kind of humbling for me to do this, but I appreciate the opportunity. In 6 minutes, I'm going to try to cover about 145 years. So that's a little bit of a task, but I think we can do it. I'm going to try to explain for our company's history where we came from, kind of where we are now, and what we're looking to do, and then open it up to questions after that. Our business started in 1869. John Ruby was challenged with making the railroad ties for the rail line that we now see, and are attempting to kind of move a little bit from downtown. But he was given the contract to build a railroad with those railroad ties. With that, with profits he earned from that, he built a general store on that same rail line, and that was the genesis of the Ruby Company, which at the turn of the century turned into Ruby Lumber Company. And then from that, it expanded out into a lot of different businesses in town. Some may know, but what used to be Kentucky Bank was founded by the Rubies and some other investors. And so, they've had their hands in a lot of different parts of our community. My father started working at Ruby Lumber Company in 1953, and he started working out in the yard and driving a truck. He was fresh out of high school. He did a stint in the Army, and then came back, and he basically worked his way from there to eventually up to president and owning it. And so I kind of grew up around the business. And when I got to college, I had a finance degree, got an MBA. My wife, she's got a CPA. And so we had our own careers, but we ended up coming back to the family business. And it was kind of in a time where my dad was nearing retirement age. He had a couple of small investors left in the business. He ended up buying them out, and he was trying to figure out, what the heck's he going to do. And so that's where my wife and I came in, and we took over, and a few years ago we ended up buying out the stock, and so now she and I own it. One of the challenges that we had coming in was we had a successful long-term business. However, the equipment was not up to date, and as you can imagine, the equipment in our industry is not cheap. And so we were faced with the challenge of, all right, here we're blessed with this thing that's got a lot of tradition and history, but how do we make it go forward? And so we had to bite a lot of bullets and figure out how to make that happen. We committed to it, and we decided to build a new plant because the productive capacity of our old plant was completely maxed out. Matter of fact, we were past capacity there for a while. And so we did that. We built built a state-of-the-art plant. It's fully automated, and we had the great success of building that plant and having the first blocks come out of it right in the very pit and bottom of the recession. So,
we seem to have a theme going today.
And so what we had designed the plant for really was not able to be realized at the time. It was simply survival mode, and I'm very thankful to say that we did that. There's a time when you sit back and say, survival, that's not very glamorous. I want to tell you it's pretty glamorous. And so that basically brings us up to today. At this point in time, and we kind of held this moniker for the last 4 or 5 years. No, actually, it's been longer than that, about 6 years. We still have the newest complete concrete products plant built in the U.S. That tells you where the industry had gone. About 1/3 of our industry, as far as producers are concerned, got wiped out by the recession. And so, we're thankful that we're one that not only made it through that, but we got relatively new equipment industry-wise, and we've got a lot of capabilities, a lot of flexibility that competitors don't have. So that kind of gets us to today. Going forward, we have introduced a few small new product lines, and I've got on my desk right now agreements to do some more major introductions of some product lines. And I think that it's not only exciting for us as a company, but us going forward in our area to be able to provide some things that typically you only see in a lot of metro areas. But again, because of our history, we've been able to kind of leverage that and work that going forward. So that being said, that's a quick route for 145 years, but some of you know a lot of history about our business, have done business with us, so I open the floor up and to your questions, what would you have? Yes, sir.
You're talking about having made such an investment at hitting the bottom of the recession. What were, looking back, some of the strategies and directions? How do what were the things that helped you survive, as you say, to make it through that unexpected dip at a critical time?
Two things. One, that was we had a lot of people that we were working with, and a lot of cheerleaders, but a lot of partners that helped us manage the way through. So that's helpful, obviously. My wife and I, both have kind of finance education backgrounds, and so that helped out. But I'll be honest with you, as far as the gut part of it, I sat at my desk plenty of times working through situations, numbers, and all that kind of stuff, and had minutes to meetings going back many, many decades. And I just sat down and a lot of times thought to myself, if the Rubies could work their way through a depression, surely to goodness I can do a recession. And that was just kind of a motivator for me. And fortunately I had the history to read back and look on, but that was a motivator for me. Yeah, Mark.
Just a comment and then a question. When you're all in, it makes it easy to keep your nose to the grindstone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Been there. How many employees do you have? And you mentioned some new product lines. Do you see the the likelihood of expanding in your capacity, the number of jobs, et cetera, in the months and years to come?
Yeah, good question. When we were at the old plant, we employed about 25 employees. Now with the new plant, obviously it's fully automated, so we didn't need as many employees. The recession took care of all that. I really didn't have to go out and let people go. I mean, that pretty well took care of it itself. At one point, we were down to 8 employees. Now we got about a dozen full-time employees, plus 3 or 4 temps that work for us. And as far as going forward, yeah, we're bringing in new processes right now that are probably going to add a couple of employees, and then as time goes on, hopefully that will continue to grow. So.
Kent, you were talking about the new processes and new products. Are you having other companies come to you and asking you to develop these things for them in order for them to be able to retail to the market, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, what's happening in our industry, like I say, a third of our industry dropped off. And so as things are starting to pick up, basically what we're seeing on a national level is different parts of the country are already experiencing growth. Our area tends to lag 12 to 18 months behind. And I think everybody, I see a lot of heads nodding, and that's just the way it is in this part of the country. It's a good thing in a lot of ways. However, what we've been able to recognize is that because of some of our capabilities, we can attract, say, some folks on a national level saying, we got to go out and find somebody to produce this product and be able to market it in the Midwest. And so we positioned ourselves, we knew that when we designed and built the plant. And we positioned ourselves for it. We just had to wait to kind of get to this point. And those people are coming, yes.
Well, how are you marketing your business nationwide? Because that's pretty much what you do.
Well, to some degree, yes. And 2 things. First of all, I'm pretty involved with our national association, National Concrete Masonry Association, on the board of directors, and I've gotten to know all these players, and so that networking there has helped a ton. Another thing that has helped is I was able to go with the state of Kentucky on an export trade mission to Canada last year, and say, well, how are you going to export concrete blocks? I didn't know how I was going to export concrete blocks, and honestly, what I found out was that wasn't really the purpose for me going. The purpose for me going was to meet a lot of these people that are in a broader range than what I am here locally. And so it's amazing the different processes that are related to what we do, that you got to kind of get out from your little niche to discover it and then meet the people that participate in that. So that's kind of some of the stuff that's going on, a lot of networking. Yes, sir.
So you got down to 8 employees, you're up to 12 now, and but in that time you installed a lot of automation, modernized your plant. Are you now hiring different types of skills than what you were before? How has that changed, and where do you get your people?
Yeah, Kelly, you hit on workforce. Gerald, we talk workforce all the time, and I think anybody in this room deals with that challenge. Rick, I know you do. When we built the new plant, it obviously required a ton of different skills than what I had, and honestly, that's some of the drop-off in the employee base that I had. Recession was there, but they didn't have the skills to transfer over, and so it kind of walked hand in hand. I'm working with the community college and workforce development a lot, as well as the state programs to try to bring in people, train when I can, but hopefully try to attract already trained employees. It's a difficult task. There's no doubt about it, And I think our generation of businesses are having to deal with that much more than our predecessors did. It's not uncommon for me to sit down and have a conversation with my dad and say, you know, listen, did you ever have to deal with that? And you know, a lot of times he'll look at me and say, nah, you're on your own on that one. So that's a good question. Yes, Rick.
For one thing, I'll beat you up a little bit. Your guys that you have kept are very good. They help a lot when you walk in to make tremendous suggestions
I'm
on
thankful for that.
how to handle this and that. So that's a big plus for your services.
Yeah.
The new things that you're gonna offer,
Mhm.
and you have people coming in, are you gonna have those pretty much retail around here as well?
Yeah.
Or are you going for different distribution?
Yes and yes.
Both? Good.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do you all still sell a lot of block to underground mines, and are you concerned, if so, the direction mining might go towards?
That's a common question. And the answer is yes, we sell a bunch to coal mines. We're thankful for it. You know, a lot of you all probably know this even better than I do, but we are extremely blessed in our little area of the world with regard to that, because where some of the areas have been hard hit in coal mining, we've been able to kind of pick up the slack. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, we don't do mountaintop removal here locally, and the administration hit that pretty hard. Number two, with respect to coal, we have a unique distribution ability where we truck it, we rail it, but we can also barge it. And that barging enables us to export it out of the country. It's kind of funny, the administration didn't really realize that was going on as he was trying to get the squeeze on coal until within the last year. And all of a sudden he realized it, and the next thing you hear is there's a threat of tariffs and everything like that. However, the realization is that even if you want to squeeze coal domestically, you're not going to stop India from burning coal. You're not going to stop China, or, I mean, you just name the country. You're not going to stop them. And so that industry actually is still going pretty strong locally, and I anticipate that it will continue to grow.
When you have a concern like that, though, Kent, I mean, because most businesses need some type of diversification, and so when you sat down and you looked at all of the issues that you have and everything, how do you determine whether to focus on a new type of business according to your own business?
Okay, good question. Some of that is, and Sharon, you know, in dealing with your business and customer base, sometimes you just got to play with the cards that are dealt to you. And you know, years ago, you know, my father's business structure was we deal with coal mines as far as that customer basis or that market, and it's a high volume, low margin business. And so you basically cover your fixed costs with that and keep the lights on. And then you've got your construction business that provides a little bit more margin, a little bit more flexibility, and so you know that's what helps you out throughout the rest of the year. Obviously, during the downturn, there wasn't a whole lot of construction going on, and so we basically had to deal with those cards and say, okay, well now we've got to do all of it, or you know, virtually all of it, with the high volume, low margin business. When we designed the plant, we designed it to diversify farther than what we were able to do previously. The cards just weren't in the hand until hopefully now things are starting to kind of break up. I don't know if that answers the question fully.
Well, pretty much, because constantly looking at, you know, what can we bring in that could bring us more, but yet our focus is on that part of our business that's 70% of our business.
Right.
You know, but yet you don't want all your eggs in one basket. You
Yeah.
need to be able to diversify. So.
Even yesterday in the staff meeting, you know, I was kind of laying out what our next year is going to be, and gave the timeline, and my wife looked at me like, "You're not going to accomplish that," and you know, and I said, "You know, look what we have done to this point." And I said, "Yeah, we are going to do that," and you know, she just kind of chuckled with some of the others and said, "You know, he's going to pull us along and get it done somehow." So,
Well, and speaking of that too, you were talking about staff meetings. I know there's so many businesses that don't have staff meetings. They don't include their employees. They don't let them know what your vision is. And, I mean, whether they like it or they don't, or they think it's hilarious or they don't. But how important has that been to your business over the years?
well, Rick was talking about the long-term employees. You know, they've got to have some sort of buy-in. They've got to have some sort of ownership in it. You know, we've been blessed to have employees for, I think our oldest tenured right now is working on about 37 years. Our former plant manager had been with the company for about 45 years, and another sales manager for 41 before they retired. Bottom line is you only keep them there if they're bought into the process and they can see that they get benefit going forward. And you know, we've completely had to kind of turn over our employee base with the exception of a few key employees. And so the challenge for us is to be able to take these newer ones, give them that buying power, and continue to grow. The only way we can do that is with the new product lines and things that they can feel, touch, and kind of bite into. Got a question over here?
Yeah, you was talking about moving things out before, but the logistics of bringing in the materials that you need, how are you handling that?
Most of what we bring in is by truck. And there was a day that we brought in stuff by rail. That was back when we had a rail spur over on the Dempsey property. I can tell you a bunch of stories about that, a pretty humorous story. But truck is primarily the way we get it in and out at this point. Good question. Yes, Mary?
I have a question and a comment. One of the things I find interesting is when someone on the outside looks in and a company of your size that's been here as a heritage company that's been passed down from a generational view, you know, they kind of assume that when you walk in, oh, you're making some changes because that's the timing to do that. They don't realize the risk that goes with that. They don't realize the stress behind the situation. So, you know, kudos to you for making a big decision like that and your family for supporting you in that situation. You know, I think that learning that different size businesses face a lot of the same deals because the recession affects many businesses, and how they actually handle that makes a big difference. If you were to look back and see what you did, the one thing you wish you could change, what would that have been? Is there one big thing that just stands out?
Well, I don't know that I would have changed had I known how deep this recession is going to be. And I think we look across the room, and I think everybody would have said that. However, again, given the cards that I had in my hand, you know, it was fish or cut bait. And either I had enough gumption inside of me or enough stupidity. I don't know which one. I was willing to keep fishing, and you know, that's what kept me going. So, Dave?
What goes on at the Dempsey property now?
Good question. I ask the same question sometimes. You know, honestly, that is, we still sell retail out of there. We have a lot of customers that try to go buy retail from our plant, and our plant manager looks at us and I can't take a credit card here, but we still sell. everything out of that. That's still at our distribution yard. And, you know, just a little sneak peek for you guys, and this is a hope. But if things continue to grow, I never did move anything from our old plant. Our old plant is still sitting there intact. All we did was shut the lights off. And if things pick up and I'm able to put together some product lines that I'm looking at, you never know. You may just hear some beating and banging going on down there again. So the reason why I built a new plant was efficiency. I efficiency through this recession. It's as simple as that. The old equipment is well suited to make some product lines that the new equipment is probably not as suited for. So there's possibilities. So, yes, ma'am.
Not a question, but a comment. A couple months ago, I was looking to do some interesting shelving in my building downtown, and I saw some really cool old architectural blocks on Pinterest, and thought, well, I'll just call up. So I went down, looked around, and I found the 30-year-old concrete blocks on a pallet in the very back of the lot, and I was just tickled pink to get them.
30 years, that's probably new.
Yeah. Well, there was a tree growing through the fence right where they were, so.
Probably right through the blocks.
Yeah, it was, I think they, guy said there were 3 pallets left, and I got quite a few of them, just was tickled to get them.
How much did he pay you to haul those off?
That's what he did, put on his best game face.
Yeah.
I think I got a deal.
When you're talking about efficiency of the new plant, obviously, you're saving money because of those efficiencies. But when you look at production capability, previously you're saying you were maxing out. Production capability between old plant, new plant, you doubled it, tripled it, added 10%.
I would say, I'm trying to think back to my calculations, it's triple and more. In our old plant, we were limited because of kiln capacity. Our new plant is a big open room kiln that allows us, if we need to run 24/7, so we can turn the product around that quick. We were utilizing that new plant on a single shift basis just because of downturn. Just within the last couple of months, we've been able to expand out to 2 shifts. And so it's because of kiln capacity that allows us.
Which leads to the next question, is that because of efficiencies and capacities, then I would assume that your profit per block could increase if the price stays up, but as we know, usually price is driven down. How far can you ship competitively? Because then you run into other competitors. Can you ship a block?
No, that's a great question. I've got 2 ways to answer that. First way is what you're hitting on is fixed costs and variable costs. And what we basically did through the recession is covered our fixed costs and we bounced around on our variable costs, but made our way through. There is a point in production where we are able to cover that, and then once you get past that, then you're starting to make profit. And so that's the key element as far as being able to expand into that second shift, is that we've got a lot of those costs covered, and so that it helps our profitability. As far as transportation is concerned, if you're talking about a standard commodity product, you're only looking at being able to ship that 75 miles or so, which we generally do. However, again, going back to flexibility, this plant allows us to make some specialty products that we're able to ship a lot farther.
Because your next competitor is able to make that as West Coast?
Correct. That gets spread out. So that's why I say we're looking at products that we can ship within the Midwest rather than just within the 75 miles. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I grew up in a family, my grew up in a family that,
Congratulations.
was, thank you, wasn't that good? That was supported by a cement company. My dad worked for a cement company that mined the shale and limestone and all.
company?
It was Louisville Cement
Yeah,
Company,
yeah.
with Brick Cement. That's
Yeah, we did
Brick
do
Cement,
that, yeah.
yeah. So anyhow, I was wondering, do you, like the suppliers that you use, is that natural resources, are those still plentiful? Is that something that's,
That's a good question. Just on Monday, I sat down and had a meeting with one of our cement suppliers, and cement this coming year is going to be tight, and not because they can't produce it, but because they scaled down just like everybody else, and they're having trouble ramping back up. As far as most of our other raw materials, it's, we don't have any issues with that. Fortunately, we've got very long-term relationships with these folks, and I have multiple cement suppliers, and so they're talking about allocation, which basically says you're only allotted to this amount because we can only supply that, and so thankfully we'll take their allocation and their allocation.
you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Back in the 50s, y'all, about when you came in, y'all were building pre-stressed concrete beams and things like that. Do you still do that, or do you anticipate going back into that?
I got pictures of our old pre-stress operation. We haven't done that for a lot of years, but honestly, one of the product lines that I'm looking at might get us back into that.
Thank you very, very much. Kelly for sharing your journey, and thanks to Kent. Next week, 7:30, we have two presenters. We have Don Bowles, Harris Terry. Look forward to that next week. So we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.